So last Cornell Note video from me, and this is finishing up Unit 2, and it's Chapter 14, Human Heredity. So Section 1, Human Chromosomes. Human cells look like the cells of other animals, and we know that because humans are just animals, and they contain 46 chromosomes, and that's 23 from each parent. And we talked about that last chapter with meiosis, and so what a genome is, it's just the full set of genetic information that an organism carries in its DNA, and we'll talk about that a little bit in the last section. This was in the last Cornell Note video, I think. This is a karyotype, and it just shows the complete diploid set of chromosomes grouped together in pairs, arranged in order of decreasing size. So you got your first pair, it's the biggest pair, and then it goes down. And so it's 46 chromosomes arranged in two pairs. And remember, these two pairs are homologous. The reason they're arranged in pairs of 23 is because one set is from each parent gamete. And so when the egg is fertilized by the sperm, that gives you 46 chromosomes. In the karyotype, it shows you all 46 chromosomes. So you have two sex chromosomes, and two of those 46 chromosomes in the human genome are your sex chromosomes. And what that does is determine your sex. So for females, it's XX, and males, it's XY. Those last 44 chromosomes, we call those autosomes, and they're just the non-sex chromosomes. So it's all these ones. So how is human sex determined? So that is actually a male thing. So males determine sex because males have XY in their sperm, and the sperm cells can either carry an X or a Y, and the females can only carry X because they're XX. Males are XY. There's a Punnett square right here to show why we see the 50-50 split in the human population and why you can have a 50-50 chance of getting a male or a female. So when you fill out this Punnett square, the female can only give the X and the male can give the X or Y. So you can have 50% be female and 50% be Y, because this is his Y, this is his X. More types of inheritance. We talked about dominant versus recessive, codominance, incomplete, and multiple alleles. So right now we're going to be talking about sex-linked. In sex-linked inheritance, it's all about those sex chromosomes. The other autosomes don't matter. So a sex-linked gene is a gene located on a sex chromosome. So genes on the Y chromosome are only found in males and are passed directly from father to son. And the reason they're only found in males is because if they're on a Y, you have to be a male to have that. And the reason it's passed directly from father to son because if the father has the Y, he can only give that Y to his son. Okay, so his son would have it if he has it. For the X, the chromosomes are found in both sexes, once again, because both sexes have an X. Explaining the explanation of why it gets passed directly from father to son. So color blindness, it's caused by a recessive gene on the X chromosome. So this mom she does not have color blindness because she only has one of these X's affected. Okay, so it's denotated right here with this little R. So she donates her X, her affected X, and he gives his X to determine the female. So the reason she doesn't have it is because she has one dominant X, so it's masking this recessive one. Her normal X is given, so it's a normal daughter. Normal X is given, Y is given, color blindness isn't on the Y, so it doesn't matter. The male is fine. And this one, her affected X is given, and he gives his Y to determine it's a boy. And because he only has one X, he automatically has to have the disease because he doesn't have the other X to mask this one. And so in these X-linked inheritance diseases, you'll see that the males have a higher percentage of having the diseases. So males are more likely to have color blindness than females because males don't have that other X to prevent or mask the recessive trait. Pedigree. So okay, this is the main thing of this whole chapter that we'll be practicing a lot in. So in pedigrees, this is the key. So you won't really see the miscarriage or adopted. Probably not twins. I might throw it in there. Maybe not the deceased either. But you'll see the affected with trait, male or female. So if it's affected, they'll be colored in. If they're clear, they'll be white. They can also be carriers. In this one, it's not showing carriers. It'll be half shaded, half clear. Also, it tells you here more in the key that the line across horizontal is marriage, down is a line of descent. So these two are married and these three are their kids. So marriage, and then you have 3 kids based off that. So these two are married and they have 3 kids. These two are married and they have 3 kids. This line here is the sibling line. So it shows that these 3 are all related, and then these 3 are all related. And here they're related. And then the number. So it starts with, it's sort of like the parent F1, F2. So this would be P1 for the parent, and the F1, and then F2. So we just do the generations by number. So this could be exponentially high. You'll see these when you want to go to get genetic testing. They'll make a pedigree for your family history. What you can do with these pedigrees is determine if a trait, say this shaded one, is dominant or recessive, and whether it's on the sex chromosomes or the autosomes. And from this data, it just tells you that they're affected or not. You have to infer from the data. So we will practice these pedigrees, okay? So just get this information down, understand the basic of it. As always, I leave the vocab for this section at the very end. If you didn't get it, go back and get it. These next 2 sections are pretty short. So section 2 is just human genetic disorders. I went and included this because a lot of these disorders get brought up during these examples of pedigrees and stuff. So it's pretty useful to know what is happening when they say someone has something. You'll want to know what it is. So the most common 3 disorders caused by individual genes that are usually brought up are sickle cell disease, cystic fibrosis, and Huntington's disease. I'm not going to spend time going over them. I have the information here, so go ahead and copy it down and kind of have a basic understanding of what happens when you have these diseases. So for chromosome disorders, usually what happens, it's something called non-disjunction, and a lot of you guys covered this when we went over disorders in the meiosis project. And so non-disjunction is the most common error in meiosis, and it occurs when homologous chromosomes fail to separate. So here, they are separating, but instead of 2 going here and 2 going here, only 1 goes here and 3 goes here. So what you see is trisomy, and that's when an individual has copies of a chromosome that they shouldn't have. So they have 3 chromosomes, hence the tri, and the most common symptom of that is Down syndrome. Very short section. Here's the vocab for that one that I would like you guys to have. I mentioned genome earlier, and so I said I would get into it. So in section 3, it's all about studying the human genome. So the Human Genome Projects. In 1990, the United States, along with several other countries, started the Human Genome Project, and it was a 13-year effort to sequence all 3 billion base pairs of the human DNA to identify all human genes. So that's all a genome is. It's just a sequencing of all the base pairs in the organism's DNA. So you can have a genome of cats that are out there, lizards, they're out there, just any genome you want, and this is really useful. We'll talk about it some more. No vocab for that one. Remember, like, comment, favorite, subscribe, hit the bell for the Bell Squad. I just wanted to say thanks for being wonderful. Put that up there. I left a picture of Calvin. Note that. Remember what he's wearing. You guys are great. I really appreciate it. I say that all the time. You guys really don't know how much it's been a great semester. These Cornell notes are rough to make, but you guys stuck with me. I don't really like having to listen to them, hear myself talk. But finish strong, keep going. You still have a whole semester, and I won't be there with you guys. I know that sucks, but you can always come back and watch my videos, listen to me talk, which is the worst. But bye.